Om Jan Tudandasya
Om
Anjana Shalakaya Chakshur Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Bhagavate
Vasudevaya
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 22, Krishna steals the gopis' garments, Text 26. Namaya Veshita Diyam
Namaya Veshita Diyam
Namaya Veshita Diyam
Namaya Veshita Diyam
Kama Kamaya Kalpate
Kama Kamaya Kalpate
Kama Kamaya Kalpate
Kama Kamaya Kalpate
Varjita Tvatita Dhana
Varjita Patita Dhana
Varjita Tvatita Dhana
Varjita Patita Dhana
Prayo Vijaya Nishate
Prayo Vijaya Deshate
Prayo Vijaya Nishate
Prayo Vijaya Deshate
Namaya Veshita Diyam
Namaya Veshita Diyam
Kama Kamaya Kalpate
Kama Kamaya Kalpate
Varjita Tvatita Dhana
Varjita Patita Dhana
Prayo Vijaya Nishate.
Prayo Vijaya Deshate.
Could someone get a couple of Gitas, please? And chant.
Namaya Veshita Diyam Kama Kamaya Kalpate Varjita Patita Dhana Prayo Vijaya Deshate.
Namaya Veshita Diyam
Namaya Veshita Diyam
Kama Kamaya Kalpate
Kama Kamaya Kalpate
Varjita Patita Dhana
Varjita Patita Dhana
Prayo Vijaya Nishate
Prayo Vijaya Deshate. Namaya Veshita Diyam
Namaya Veshita Diyam
Kama Kamaya Kalpate
Kama Kamaya Kalpate
Varjita Patita Dhana
Varjita Patita Dhana
Prayo Vijaya Deshate.
Prayo Vijaya Nishate
Namaya Veshita Diyam Kama Kamaya Kalpate Varjita Patita Dhana Prayo Vijaya Deshate. Namaya Veshita Diyam Kama Kamaya Kalpate Varjita Patita Dhana Prayo Vijaya Deshate.
Okay. Na, Nat, Mayi, in me, Aveshita,
Aveshita
fully absorbed,
fully
observe
Diyam, of those whose consciousness,
of those
those who
who
have consciousness,
Kama,
Kama
desire,
desire,
Kamaya,
Kamaya,
to material lust,
to
material
material
lost,
Kalpate,
Kalpate,
leads,
leads,
Varjita,
Varjita,
burned,
burned,
Patita,
Patita,
cooked,
cooked,
Dhana,
Dhana
grains,
grains,
Praya,
Praya,
for the most part,
for the most part,
Vijaya,
Vijaya,
new growth,
growth,
Naishate,
Nishyate,
are not capable of causing,
are not capable of causing
Translation and purport. The desire of those
The desire of
who
those
fix their minds on me does not lead to material desire or sense gratification. Just as barley corns, burned by the sun and then cooked, can no longer grow into new sprouts. Okay. The desire of those who fix their minds on me does not lead to material desire for sense gratification. Just as barley corns burnt by the sun and cooked can no longer grow into new sprouts. So I have a question. We read that dana in the word for word is translated as grains, and then in the translation is barley corns. And when we refer to Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, he also talks about this analogy of barley corns being cooked. But we find that it's actually made its way into the translation here. So you know some Sanskrit?
Yeah, some.
So dana,
He's Pandit here.
dana, what is the actual meaning? Here it's translated as grains.
The paddy.
Paddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then you're saying more like rice.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
But here he's translated as grains. Translation says barley corns.
In
So-
this Hindi translation, it says Joe. Joe is a barley
Barley.
corn.
What translation?
In the Hindi translation.
Oh, that's different. I'm looking at the Sanskrit.
Right.
Sanskrit is anna.
Hmm?
Dhana means anna.
Yeah.
Anna means paddy.
No, it's not anna. It's dana.
Dhana.
In our place where we are going, Dahan means rice.
Rice, normally.
Okay, so what I'm getting at
Yeah.
is in the word for word it says grains.
Right.
In the translation
Yeah,
is barley
Different.
corns, okay? So it's a different kind of grain.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's paddy. So it seems more the accurate would be grains, generic, as it is in the word for word. So sometimes when it's one part of the country and they say dana, they'll think of rice. Another part they'll maybe think of barley corns. Okay, but in general it means grains. But what I'm saying is that they're probably getting the idea to translate it as barley corns in the translation from Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, where he gives the analogy of the barley corns, as we're going to read here. Purport: the words maya veshita diyam are very significant here. Unless one has achieved an advanced degree of devotion, one cannot fix the mind and intelligence on Krishna, since Krishna is pure spiritual existence. Self-realization is a state not of desirelessness, but rather a purified desire, wherein one desires only the pleasure of Lord Krishna. The gopis were certainly attracted to Krishna in a mood of conjugal love. And yet, having fixed their minds, and indeed their entire existence completely on Krishna, their conjugal desire could never manifest as material lust. Rather, it became the most exalted form of love of Godhead ever seen within the universe. Maybe I should have read Vishwanath's first, because that's where he refers to it. Krishna said, quote, so this is Thakur's describing what Krishna is feeling inside. If someone worships me impurely or improperly, I can make that offering pure. Because I am full of good qualities. What then to say of your absolutely pure desire and pure love? The desire of one absorbed in me does not lead to material desire for sense enjoyment. Because the object of love is the topmost spiritual entity. It results in the disappearance of material desire. Just as barley corns roasted in the fire can never grow new sprouts. So this is Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's words of Krishna's thoughts. And he's given an example that barley corns roasted in fire can never grow new sprouts. And that signifies what? That our desires even though they may be impure. As he says here, Krishna's thinking, someone worships me impurely or improperly. Improperly. So, there's one place in the Gita, Krishna talks about improper worship. Remember?
Tadvidhi pranipatena.
The Vidi what? The Vidi.
Tadvidhi pranipatena.
No, not that one.
No. Improperly.
Oh,
Improper worship.
Eppenna devata bhakta ejante sadhayan vikta tepi mahave kontya ejante vidhi purvakam.
Yeah. How's it start?
Eppenna devata bhakta.
How's it start?
Eppenna devata bhakta.
Epi anya devata bhakta.
Bhakta ejante sadhayan vikta tepi mahave kontya ejante avidhi purvakam.
Thank you. So he's saying that with faith that I give them, the not so intelligent one worships the devas. But I say, Krishna says, that this is a Vidi Purvakam, that worship. It's improperly directed. But here we're learning that worship may be properly directed towards Krishna, but the desires are impure. Of course, then in the next statement he says, but then what to say of your absolutely pure desire and pure love? So he's making a general statement that so many may worship Kajayani for their sense gratification. And so many also worship myself. Not always with the pure desire. But if the proper object is there, at least, as he's saying, which purport is it? Right. Because the object of love is the topmost spiritual entity, Krishna is saying. It results in the disappearance of material desires, just like the roasted barley corn. So there's two things going on. One is, we may worship an improper object, like the verse you quoted, with an improper motive. Generally, that's the case. The reason we go to an improper object, why? Because we have an improper motive. Like Prabhupada says, those who want to be cheated, then the Lord sends cheaters, or sends them to cheaters. Because again, Krishna is saying that I'm encouraging them from within their hearts, right? So there's another verse where he's saying that in the Gita. Which one is that? We're saying that I am giving the faith to those who worship the demigods. No. That's where he's saying there's another one. We're just covering that. that the worship is improper.
So Abhidipurvakam, the slope that says Abhidipurvakam.
Well, that's the same one, right? Anyway, my point I'm making is that the object of worship may be improper with improper desires. That's the worst. Actually, it's not the worst. Even worse than that is gross materialism today, where they don't even recognize that there are higher causes for the satisfaction of my desires besides my own hard work and manipulation. That I have to appease something higher than myself, whether it be nature or the controllers of nature, the devas. That's a step higher, because that could lead to something even higher. So as Prabhupada describes, therefore, Krishna doesn't, even though Krishna condemns deity worship, he doesn't demigod worship, he doesn't forbid it. It's something. And indeed, in the beginning of chapter 3, he seems to encourage it. This he says in the beginning, I've sent forth men and demigods with jagya and asked them that if you satisfy the demigods, your necessities will also
Prosperity will come.
Hmm?
Prosperity will come.
Yeah. So, it's for the less intelligent. It's not the highest goal, but it's better than gross materialism. So then the next step is improper motivation. And Krishna from within the heart guides them to improper object for how to get that improper motivation satisfied. Higher than that, which is much more rare. Someone has a proper motivation, but somehow or another, has an improper object. So there's cases where devotees may approach Devi, or they may approach Shiv with a pure desire for worshiping God. And those servants of God, the demigods and Devi, recognizing that they have a pure desire, they divert them, they send them to the proper object, to Krishna. And why not? If Shiv is described to be the highest bhakta, Vaishnavana, Shambhu, then that's the purpose of the devotee, is to facilitate the connection of the bhakta to the Lord. So that's also a possibility. Well, what Krishna is talking about here is two other possibilities, where the object is proper, namely himself, and the motivation is either proper or improper. So in the first case, he's saying, in general, it's not specifically applying to the gopis, but in general, that the motivation may be improper. Many persons are coming to myself for improper motive. So what's he saying in the Gita? Chapter 7. 4 kinds of punya.
Chaturvida bhajante.
Chaturvida bhajante. Artho jigas artati jnani. They're all pious. They're all coming to me for impure reasons. So then he says, Tesam jnani nityamukti. Nicha Yukta Pasate, that those who are jnanis and fixed on my service, due to the preponderance of as it turns out later on in that same chapter, he says, Bhavanam Jananam Ante Ganavanam Pajate, many lifetimes of jnana. Then they come to this point of worship. I consider them the highest, the most dear to me, and most fixed.
Many life of jnana.
Yeah, right? Bhavanam Jananam Ante Ganavanam Pajate. But whatever, they're pious. And Krishna is saying that they're coming to me for improper motive, and as I referred to the verse in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam yesterday, but I don't necessarily give them what they're looking for. I give them what they really need, because they're coming to me, so I'm not going to cheat them. Anyone who's coming to me, I'm going to help them and give them ultimately myself. So that means that the first step of that is Krishna's going to change our desire. So you know that by now famous story that Prabhupada talked about the thieves in Vrindavan, right? That they overheard some Bhagavatam recitation about Krishna and Braj, and how Mother Yashoda would dress him up with so many costly jewels. And he'd go out to the forest, herding cows. And so the thieves thought, well, this is during Krishna's time. Let's go find that boy. You know, we're picking people's pockets. And if we get some of those jewels, then our life is set up. It's one-time heist and we've got it made. So they did that, and they tried to flatter Krishna. That, you know, you're such a nice, sweet little boy, and maybe we can exchange some things here. So they tried to flatter him and bribe him and get his jewels. And Krishna was saying, oh, Mother Yashoda will not be pleased if I give it to you. And they go argue back and forth. And after a while, the thieves realize this isn't going to work. And Krishna says, okay, you can take it. And by then the thieves are so purified by his association, so melted that they give it all up. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, right? He also had lots of determination, such big tapasya he was performing in the forest. And finally Narayan came to him and he said, you want to give me my grandfather's kingdom? I don't want it anymore. It's like broken glass, and you were like a diamond. Kacham Vachandam Divya Ratnam Suminka Tartasmi Varamlaya.